So could we feasibly see a $35 XRP, or how about the $32.19 XRP? Well, some people, some very smart, very important people, seem to think that it could get there. And I'm not talking about day traders, I'm not talking about speculators, I'm not talking about chart analysts, I'm not talking about Bitcoin analysts. I'm talking about the head of digital assets at BlackRock and a member of the board of directors at Ripple. So apparently they've made some huge predictions for Bitcoin and XRP way back in 2018. I'm going to tell you what white paper they wrote, what they included, how they actually came to their conclusions, and what they're actually predicting for both Bitcoin and XRP. It's some really interesting stuff. Hey everyone, my name is Randy and welcome back to the Late Night Grind. And right now on this channel, I'm covering the Ripple versus the SEC case, but I'm also covering cryptocurrency news, investment markets, and personal finance. So if any or all these topics interest you, make sure you hit that subscribe button and join the Late Night Grind community. Also, don't forget to hit that bell notification icon so that YouTube sends you a notification when I release a new video. And of course, if you're feeling generous, I'd appreciate it if you smash the thumbs up button and watch the video all the way to the end. Those really are the two best things you can do to support a YouTube channel. So if you do that, I'd greatly appreciate it. All right, guys, let's jump into it. So way back in 2018, actually June of 2018 to be precise, two people worked together to formulate what they called a fundamental valuation framework of crypto assets. So who were they? Well, one of them was Susan Athey, who is on the Ripple board of directors, the Ripple Labs board of directors to be exact, and the other one is Robert Mitchnick. Now, currently he serves as the head of digital assets at BlackRock, and you may recognize the name BlackRock as it's one of the biggest investment firms on the entire planet. So him and Susan actually worked together in 2018 and combined to formulate a valuation framework. This is essentially a white paper that they use to come up with what Bitcoin and XRP could be valued at, or it could potentially be valued at in the future, along with some different factors that they put into it. Some of them very forward-thinking. Some of them had to do with the economic situations back in 2018. Now, full disclosure, back in June of 2018, Robert Mitchnick didn't work at BlackRock yet. He didn't start until about August of 2018. So this was written by him and Susan about 2 months before he actually became the head of BlackRock Digital Assets. So nonetheless, they were working together. They also came up with a XRP valuation calculator, which is very fascinating, and it goes right along with this white paper. All right, so what did this white paper actually involve, and how did they get to these predictions? Well, I'm not going to pretend to get into the economics and the mathematics that went into coming up with these predictions, because, quite frankly, it looks like a chalkboard from Albert Einstein's mad scientist labs. I'm sure there were some of you that will love to dig into it and see the actual numbers as they go into extreme detail as to how they came up with it. But nonetheless, I just got to the meat and potatoes. So primarily their white paper talked about things like demand, supply, obviously economics 101, as well as things like transaction demand and storage demand. Now in this prediction model, which is essentially what it is, it's a model or a framework on how to value certain cryptocurrencies, they do put certain mathematics into this that talk about probabilities, that talk about the odds of certain things happening, what's the success case, what's the success case rate of Bitcoin happening, what is the failure rate case of Bitcoin? What happens if Bitcoin loses its predominance in the cryptocurrency world? In other words, there's another cryptocurrency that takes its place. There's a whole bunch of economic factors that they kind of take into consideration when they're doing this, and they've made several mentions that these are actually slightly on the conservative side of their prediction levels. And I, for one, just thought it was really interesting how they were actually building this framework and this XRP valuation calculator specifically only for Bitcoin and XRP, not Bitcoin and Ethereum, not just XRP, but Bitcoin and XRP. Now, one of the other disclosures that they did put on this was that, of course, there are always certain probabilities that other external factors could greatly affect these predictions in the coming years. Things such as government intervention, SEC ring a bell? Or how about China banning cryptocurrencies? Or how about El Salvador adopting Bitcoin as legal tender? All of these things are not taken into consideration in 2018, except for at a very conservative level. Now, when I look at predictions, one of the biggest things people want to know is when. What is this time frame? What type of historical numbers you're using? Are you talking about 3 months, 6 months? Are you talking about 10 years into the future? Well, in this white paper, they actually weren't necessarily talking about years, although they used it for their tech adoption curve, but they primarily referred to these prediction numbers as when these cryptocurrencies achieved what they called a steady state. In other words, a state of which there are mass adoption numbers that have achieved it to essentially have it be a part of everyday life for whatever that use case may have been. So let's get into the good stuff. So what are they actually predicting, or what did they actually predict back in 2018 for Bitcoin and for XRP for their steady state estimations? And just so you're aware, I did link this in the description below. You can actually go and check out. This is a PDF white paper. It's not super long, although it is incredibly detailed and it's incredibly fun. I'll also post a link in the description to what they call an XRP valuation calculator, where you can type in basically essentially the supply, the demand, so several of the different economic factors, the use cases of XRP, things like that, and come out with a valuation of XRP, and it's pretty wild. So after this video, you can go and click on those links and check it out, dive in. It's really interesting stuff. So for these predictions, their steady state for both Bitcoin and XRP are for the year 2030. They said since 2018, when they were actually writing this, that that in their estimates there appears to be approximately 12 more years until these type of crypto assets and different tech would actually take hold and achieve their steady state. They use things like Twitter, like Facebook, Google, how long it took mass adoption to actually take on with those things, and essentially ascribe that to the cryptocurrency model. They may have been a little short-sighted. So here we go. So their Bitcoin prediction for 2030, they predicted a high of $93,000 and a low of $45,000. Coincidentally, Bitcoin's right around $45,000 as I'm making this video. So here we go. What did they predict for XRP in the year 2030? A high of $32.19 and a low of $6.37. Now, those are actually pretty good numbers. That would give you quite a significant amount of time to actually accumulate all the Bitcoin and XRP you want before it would hit those numbers. But here's the thing. Bitcoin was already at $69,000. In fact, it's already at their 2030 low estimation points. I don't think they were anticipating several different economic factors like mass inflation, the whole COVID thing, printing money left and right, not just the United States, but several countries all over the world. These macroeconomic factors that they really couldn't see coming back in 2018. Nobody could. So I'm certainly not going to fault them for that. But it is factors like that that have the tech adoption rates and the cryptocurrency adoption rates speeding up much, much faster than people back in 2018 thought they would. So Bitcoin has been to 69,000, not 93,000, but still 80% of the way there. Well, XRP has not been anywhere near $32 at its high point prediction. Now, it has been to roughly half of the low point prediction back in 2017 when it hit its all-time high. So if Bitcoin were to run up to $100,000 this year, which many, many people think it still will, not everybody, but a lot of people do. But if Bitcoin goes to 100,000, do you think XRP is going to follow suit and go along and hit its high prediction of $32? Well, the only way that's happening is if this case versus the Ripple versus the SEC is actually over and XRP gets its full clarity. It gets full regulatory clarity. It gets relisted on all the exchanges. It gets mass adoption, mass institutional adoptions for what it's actually used for, which is transferring billions and billions of dollars around the world in seconds. And of course, the amount of XRP being used for that will skyrocket, thus so will the demand. So is that going to actually force the price of XRP up to that high prediction of $32? Everything else being neutral, their predictions are very spot on. The only thing they haven't accounted for is those macroeconomic conditions that I talked about that really nobody could see coming. And instead of happening in 2030, they happened in 2020, just 2 years later, or 2021, as Bitcoin hit its all-time high. Honestly, they weren't too far off, because if there was not the SEC case versus Ripple, I truly believe XRP would be in the neighborhood of probably $15 to $20 right about now, as it would have had the benefit of climbing with that bull market back in 2020 and 2021. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, as well as on Twitter. I'll post a link to my Twitter profile. You can go and follow me there and continue this discussion there. And like I said, all of these links, everything I'm talking about in this video is in the description below. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end, for giving it a big thumbs up, and as always, I'll see you guys on the next video.